today. He's the second part of our double header. Rukingi was a leader in bilingual education in Rotorua, and well over 20 years ago, a number of us teachers used to go to him after school when he was tutoring us through how to be better teachers of immersion units around primary schools and secondary schools in Rotorua. He's a long-time resident of Ohinemutu. In fact, just a second house away from Tamatakapua. This is a volatile house, but he splits his time between Ohinemutu and Maketu, and that's going to be his kaupapa today, Matariki in Maketu. Alo mai e mo.
Yeah. Good everybody. I'm really glad that Kingi started by saying that anybody can get involved with Matariki. You can have the experts at one end and then the other ones like me at the other end. So I'm not an expert with Matariki, but I guess what the speaker in front of me is that the great thing is that anybody can learn. So I wish I also learned how to read emails, so I think whatever Rangiti he sent me, I probably didn't see it, so I've now got to work something up. But the main thing for me with Matariki, Matariki is just one set of a whole lot of what we call taonga, which are treasures. And when you go up top there, where all Don Staffords and all our tupuna books are all hidden up there, for me, that's on the left-hand side. There are so many taonga that we can include when you celebrate a thing like Matariki. So for me, the first one at the top is taonga poro. Now, which one do I push on that thing? I'm just learning now with Matariki. Wow. So, I live in Ohinemutu and I'm one of the descendants of Te Tanagai and Hinemoa. So those of you that don't know the story, I'm sure the book's down there in the kids' end, and there'll be a fuller story up the top here. But the main thing for me, I began to learn in 1990, so 31 years ago. And the tutors that I had then, the second one, the lone survivor is gone now. So I think for me, you kind of incorporate everything that you're doing, and so it's also the time to reflect those that have passed on. So 30 years ago when I learned how to play all these taonga puro, which are the musical instruments, because our ancestor Te Tanagai played his kawawa to Hinemoa, despite mum and dads on both sides deciding that they shouldn't hook up. The parents failed, and our Romeo and Juliet did hook up, and now just about everybody around the lake from one side to the other, we are all descendants of Hinemoa and Te Tanagai. So part of his shell is to celebrate this taonga, which is taonga poro. So I'm going to use it to start us with. So this is what it sounds like. I don't know if it's ever been played in here, but anyway. Don't play it into a microphone. Okay, so that's one taonga good. This is a karakia that, this is a prayer that my wife and I learnt in the early 1990s. And on Friday we were at a gathering 4 o'clock in the morning on McCoy Island. And there was about, 150 of us. Anyway, the beautiful thing for us was we had some experts with us, and one karakia after another, after another, after another, after another, after another. The main thing with karakia is that these karakia, when Kingi was talking about Matariki, so the people who actually believed on Matariki, they were the ones that used these kind of karakia. So I thought I'd just use one of the, this is a kind of a prayer that we sing. Very few know it in Rotorua, but anyway. Tagina tura te kawatapua I o matua kore hei. Te toe nuku, te toe rangi, te puhi o ngā rangi tuhai hei. I te matatanga mai o te ao ko I o anake hei. Nāna nei hatia te mauri ki roto, te kore te whiwhia, te kore te rawe ae hei. Ka puta ko te pōnui, ko te pōro, ko te pōtango tango hei. Ka puta ko te ao marama hei. Ko rangi nui e tu, a kenei ko papatu anuku e takoto nei Ngā rawa ko tānei anga I te wā, ine kiko ko, ene ahu one Ngā rawa ko ine ti tamaka, puta ko te ira tangata ki te whai, ki te amarama. Ka puta whaki ko te ira tangata ki te whaia, ki te amarama Ti hei Mariora. I need to practice this more. With Matariki, when we were on the island, so there was a time when we reflect on the people that we've lost. And so you had about 100 plus people in the pitch black. We had 3 fires dotted between us. We all had got icicles hanging off our noses and everything that at 4 o'clock in the morning. And in the middle of that, we had to acknowledge the people that we've lost. And so what happened was that Mataia, one of our nephews, he went from one end of the semicircle of all of us, and anybody who had lost somebody in the last 12 months, you had the chance to say the person's name. So part of the Matariki time is remembering those ones that we've lost in the last 12 months. And so it went around. I think he started with me and I forgot and I missed it, but the good thing he came back again. So last year our nephew died in Australia, and he died the same time that the COVID lockdown. And so basically the whānau were trapped in Australia, we were trapped here, nobody could go backwards and forwards. And so we were all waiting for those months that everybody had to endure. And then later on in the year, the whānau cremated him in Australia, and then his ashes we brought back here to Rotorua, and then we, the family first of all, they had to have time to grieve because they never had a chance to actually deal with it. And it took a while. My mum was forever pushing us to hurry up and get this, her grandson and our nephew buried. But it took a while for the family to accept what had happened. So I think the main thing with Matariki is not so much about all of the academic learning that we do, but it's about pulling into real life stuff that hits. And when we're on the island and you go through all the people in the pitch black calling out the name of the one that they've lost. Nā reira I tēnei wā, ka huri ati ngā whakaaro ki a rātou e hinga mai nei, hinga tira, I ngā marama kua taha nei. Nā reira haere koutou ki a nunu mā, ki a roroa mā. Haere ati wana koutou ki te pāwa Matariki, ana whakatā moi atira. Anā ka hiri mai ki a tātou. This is one of the karakia that came out. We had our event on Friday morning on the island, and then on the Saturday, Ngāti Pikiao had their event to celebrate Matariki. And the beauty that we have in this town is we've got so many experts. And the rest of us who are just learning this bit and that bit, it just need to be around them. We've got lovely connected ties. Whakapapa ties is one of those words that we use. So down the bottom there, piata mai I te rangi. As Kingi said in the mihi that he gave at the beginning, when our people pass away, they go through a long journey. And then the last point where they finish up is as a star. And that little phrase there, piata mai I te rangi, twinkle down upon us. Which, when we're on the island, that's what we're looking at, it was so beautiful and stunning. On Friday morning, it was crystal clear and all the stars were in front of us. Luckily, one of the council members had a laser thing with him, and one of the experts, Mataya. So his dad does the old classes here, I think. And anyway, so Mataya, the boy, so he went up and he goes, "This is boom, boom, boom." You know, looking at it with the blimmin' laser. You know, so today, man, there's no boundaries anywhere. So, piata mai I te rangi. This is called the Kuwawa. And I told you about Henimo and Te Tanikai, and Te Tanikai played the Kuwawa to encourage you where to go to swim to the island. This waiata here, there's many of us who sing it, and many of us have slightly different stories. But for me, the timing of it, that's around the time when Christianity arrived in Rotorua. And when I was thinking about what's a sad song, a waiata tangi, which sad song would be a good one for me to play to you guys? I don't know if you've ever heard of Kuwawa, but I'll play you this one. It's made out of glass, and there's a place on Ferry Springs Road, so we've been tittling away, trying to make these things sing. And this is Mark 9, and the other 8, unfortunately, when you drill it, you can't change the keys. You can't change the strings. So it's taken a while to get to it, but now this one sings. But the reason I'm playing this one, it was, in a way, Matariki, it's a whole new set of knowledge, of beliefs, exactly like what happened back in the 1820s and 1830s, when that event happened. So this is the waiata so this one is to sing to all the ones that we've lost. Koutou kia koutou mā, tātou kia tātou. Kia ora, so that's a Kuwawa, in case you've never heard one. But it's amazing how, you know, once upon a time, when I started learning that 30 years ago, they were made out of bone and wood. So I guess that chapter, just like the Matariki book, that chapter is finished. Now we have a new chapter with glass. So that's pulling it into this kaupapa, into this time. Right, 2016 I was living in Maketu. And we had some old people there. The oldest person in our group, she was 92 then. So that was 5 years ago. So she'd be 97 now. There was only one person younger than me, but she's gone now. She's gone up to be a star. But the main thing with the waiata here, the old people I was with, they had no idea what Matariki is. And these are the old kuia, the old koros, who do all the things on the marae in Maketu. But their children and their grandchildren were all learning about Matariki, just like we read this morning. And all the oldies that I were living with, they were panicking because they were getting left behind. Everybody else is learning all about Matariki, but we know nothing. So we organised the wānanga for all our oldies, and we said, right, let's have a look at some of the bits of papers that are lying around. So we got some pages of information at Te Puke, and in the Maketu newspaper that we have over there, and we got little bits of kōrero, and in it are proverbs, a little bit of explaining about Matariki, so we put it in there. And we said, oh, okay, right now we're going to have a tune. So I go, okay, all you oldies. Well, I'm smiling at Rangiti, so his uncle was there, Uncle Manipene, Uncle Te Wano Walters. Yeah, they were the two brave men, and we had about 8. They were the ones who designed this. The men, I think they were blinking or something, I don't know. But one of the aunties, her name's Waimeha, she's gone now, but she's another one who's become to be a star. And her and her husband, they always used to have fairly heated conversations. That's a nice way of saying it. Yelling and screaming at each other. And I said to them, okay, well, what's a way to let you fellas know they might have a neat tune? And she goes, 2 hearts strangled in love. And I said, what? What's that? Anyway, then eventually it was 2 hearts tangled in love. Not these two women battling husband and wife things going on. Anyway. te karui o Matariki. You reckon you can ever get the chorus? Matariki, te taurua. Matariki, e atama. Not bad for a bunch of oldies who had no idea what Matariki is. Yeah, we've lost half the members now, so it's just a fact of life. But in a way, it's neat when Rangitihi said to me, "Oh, can you give us a hand?" And I thought, "Yeah, I'm the only one that was with those Pia Growers and Magitu that trying to have some kind of understanding of what Matariki means." And I think the main thing for us, by the time they finished, when you look at the English words in there, it wasn't just an academic exercise with those wonderful books that we have up here. It was about pulling into our world. So Ake Ake, that's one of the places in Magetu. The pā where Tamate Kapua lived, Okurei, Te Kurei Tama o Te. So I think when one minute we said, oh, everybody was saying, well, we know nothing. And then after about an hour, then they suddenly realised how they lived by the sea was everything to do with, was it Waita? Which is the one by the Moana. Waita. Yeah, so I think in a way we started closing the gap between themselves and their children and their grandparents. So at least they kind of talk with each other about something. So that's the end. Now, before we started, when I was born, my name was Lee Rukingi Richards. Now, I was introduced by Kingi and he said my name that I used to know. And then Rangitihi, he got up and then he said what I now am called now. And so, in a way, my Matariki book ended back then. The main thing that happened with me was stroke. I had a stroke, lost my memory, had to relearn my family name, only to find that my mum and dad had both changed their names, so I was left with the name Richards. And I thought, right, I don't think I'm going to hang on to that blooming name. So, Haupapa, which is the name of the street out here, my grandmother, that was her last name, so she's one of the Haupapa whānau. So now there are two of us living in New Zealand who have that name, Haupapa. So I guess in a way, with our Matariki whānau book, the chapter with my name, you can actually almost, you can see when the new chapter began. So I think coming back to Matariki with all of this, that's from what I'm trying to show with you is you can actually be part of who you are and your whānau. So I think everything that I've been telling you are things that we've all been kind of learning, but pulling it into us today. So with all of that, the last thing is the karakia. So you usually start with a karakia and finish with a karakia. So this is one that one of our uncles, he used to jump up at Tunuhopu down the bottom, but he also comes from Tātua. So Uncle Reg Wharekura, so this is the karakia that he gave. And it's one that I just about use wherever I go. The main thing with the English in there is, please, may I trip over everything that I need to see and hear if I'm not paying attention. Please help me to catch those gems that can help and guide me into the future. And I think he deliberately created that for me, because I was never listening and never watching, paying attention. Yeah, but anyway. Ko tēnei te tūmanako ke whae ai te māramatanga mō tēnei rā. Kia maumahara ki ngā mea mīharo katoa, ki homai o matua hei arihi a hau, haria ke nei, tina kia tina, ui e, ai e. Kia ora tātou.